when Vanessa Sterling married Charles, the heir of a multi-billion-dollar real estate empire. She believed she had everything a woman could ever wish for. Their mansion in the upscale district of Beverly Hills was the kind of house that people only saw in glossy magazines, shining marble floors, crystal chandeliers imported from Italy, and a swimming pool that seemed to merge with the horizon. Vanessa was 32, tall, strikingly beautiful, and carried herself with the confidence of someone who had never known real struggle. Yet, behind the glamorous image she portrayed to the world, she was a new mother who was still learning what it meant to balance her demanding life with the needs of her 3-month-old son. Adrienne Vanessa loved her child, but motherhood had been far more exhausting than she had anticipated. Late nights, constant feedings, and her body's slow recovery had taken a toll. To make matters worse, she struggled with producing enough milk. Despite consultations with doctors and endless attempts with supplements, her body simply could not provide the nourishment Adrienne needed. The guilt weighed heavily on her because she believed a mother should be able to do everything for her child. To cope, she leaned on the help of her staff 9 chefs and housekeepers who managed the mansion's daily affairs. Among them was Evelyn, a woman in her early 40s, originally from Louisiana. She had been hired as a maid, but her role often shifted to include caring for Adrienne when the nannies were occupied. Evelyn was a tall black woman with warm brown eyes that carried a quiet strength. She moved gracefully around the house, never seeking attention, always ensuring her work was done with perfection. Vanessa never paid much attention to her beyond polite greetings. To her, Evelyn was simply part of the household staff, another face in the background of her busy life. One afternoon, after returning from a business luncheon, Vanessa decided to check on Adrienne. She walked past the golden-framed doors of the nursery, her designer heels clicking lightly against the polished floor. As she entered, the sight before her stopped her breath. There was Evelyn, sitting in the rocking chair by the window, her blouse slightly undone, nursing baby Adrienne at her breast. The sunlight streamed in, illuminating the serene expression on Evelyn's face as she held the infant close. Adrienne was calm, suckling peacefully, his tiny fingers clutching onto Evelyn's skin. Vanessa's world spun for a moment. Shock, anger, and disbelief surged through her like a storm. She felt as though she had walked into a scene that did not belong. In her house, in her life, her immediate instinct was to scream, to demand answers, but her voice caught in her throat. Instead, she stood frozen, her manicured nails digging into the palm of her hand as she tried to process what she was seeing. "Evelyn," she finally burst out, her voice sharp, trembling with fury. "What in God's name do you think you're doing?" Startled, Evelyn looked up, her face flushing with a mix of fear and embarrassment. She quickly adjusted her blouse and tried to stand, but Adrienne whimpered at the sudden movement. Evelyn's hands trembled slightly as she held the baby. I can explain, ma'am," she said softly, her southern accent thickening with nerves. The baby was hungry, he wouldn't stop crying, and the formula wasn't settling well with him. "I didn't mean no harm." Vanessa's chest tightened, her heart hammering. "You had no right. Can't just—" She stopped, unable to even say the words out loud. The image of another woman nursing her child felt like a violation, an intrusion into something sacred. She felt betrayed, even though she couldn't fully articulate why. Evelyn's eyes glistened as she tried to steady her voice. "I know it's not my place, but I was a mother too. My own baby girl. She passed years ago. I still have milk. And when I saw little Adrienne crying, desperate, I thought maybe I could help. I swear to you, I did it only out of love for the child." The room was silent except for the soft cooing of Adrienne, who now rested content in Evelyn's arms, his tiny mouth curled in satisfaction. Vanessa's anger battled with confusion and something else she couldn't quite name. She wanted to snatch her son away immediately, to scream for security, to fire Evelyn on the spot. Yet she also couldn't ignore the undeniable truth staring her in the face. Her baby was calm, happy, and nourished in a way he hadn't been in weeks. Vanessa's mind replayed the countless nights she had sat helpless, cradling Adrienne as he cried endlessly, the formula spilling from his lips as his stomach rejected it. The pediatrician's visits, the endless bottles of specialized milk, the guilt of not being able to provide for her child, all of it crashed down on her. And here was Evelyn, doing effortlessly what she, with all her wealth and resources, could not. Her pride stung. Her heart ached. Her mind screamed with questions. "You should have come to me," Vanessa said finally, her voice quieter but still trembling. "You don't make decisions like this without asking. Do you realize what you've done? This is my son." Evelyn lowered her head. "Yes, ma'am, I know, and I'm sorry. But I couldn't stand seeing him suffer. Sometimes love makes us act before we think." Vanessa turned away, pacing the room. She didn't know whether to call her husband, fire Evelyn, or break down in tears. The situation felt impossible. But when she glanced back at Adrian's peaceful face, she realized she couldn't dismiss what had just happened so easily. That night, Vanessa couldn't sleep. The image of Evelyn nursing Adrian haunted her mind. She thought about the history of women who had been wet nurses for other families, especially how enslaved black women in America had once been forced to nurse the children of white families. While neglecting their own, the thought unsettled her deeply. Was she, in her own way, repeating history by relying on Evelyn? The idea both disturbed her and opened her eyes. Over the following days, Vanessa couldn't help but notice the bond between Evelyn and Adrian. Every time Evelyn held him, he seemed calmer, more secure. Vanessa's jealousy flared, but so did a strange sense of relief. Slowly, her anger gave way to curiosity, and curiosity to understanding. She began to talk to Evelyn more, to learn about her past, the daughter she lost, the hardships she endured, and the quiet strength that carried her through life. Through these conversations, Vanessa began to see Evelyn not as the maid, but as a woman with her own story, her own pain, and her own love to give. And Evelyn, in turn, showed Vanessa that motherhood wasn't about perfection or pride. It was about sacrifice, humility, and accepting help when it was needed most. Weeks passed. Vanessa made a decision that shocked everyone in her social circle. Instead of firing Evelyn, she asked her to stay on, not just as a maid, but as Adrian's caretaker, someone she trusted deeply. To outsiders, it seemed scandalous, a billionaire mother allowing her black maid to nurse and bond with her child. But to Vanessa, it was an act of love, both for her son and for the woman who had stepped in when she herself could not. In time, Vanessa found her strength again. She healed, she learned, and she embraced motherhood in her own way, yet she never forgot the moment that had once filled her with rage, but had ultimately changed her forever. She learned that sometimes the most unexpected people can become family, and that true love for a child transcends pride, race, or social class. And what left her truly speechless was not the act itself, but the realization that her son's first true nourishment came not from her, but from the compassion of another woman she had once overlooked.